All right, we're live. We're back. Happy Friday to everyone. I'm Marshall Atkinson,
I'm Alan Howe.
and welcome to Q&A with Alan and Marshall. So, look, I just touched my nose. Look out.
Yeah, now you have to. So, yeah.
I'm not. Hey, I thought you turned your thing off.
Every week, one day I'll learn.
All right. So, welcome. If you were here for previous Q&A sessions, welcome back. If this is your first time, Alan and I don't really know what we're doing with everything. And so thank you for joining us on our journey where we learn how to use the tools.
And put up with us. Yeah, it's kind of a comedy show going. I swear people are watching just going, let's see how bad they screw up now.
I don't know. I think we're getting better.
I forgot to turn off my phone as I'm watching for comments, but yeah, again.
And what was really funny is that right before the show, we were talking about, and Alan goes, yeah, I need to make sure I turn the sound off.
Exactly, because I talked about, you know what, you said it's a work in progress, and I made the point going, yeah, but after you keep making the same mistake 4 weeks in a row, it becomes annoying, and there I go.
Okay,
yeah.
So what the show is about, if you haven't joined us before, is this is all about Q&A with Alan and Marshall. So what we really need more than anything is your questions. So we are open to any and all questions. Hopefully we have answers to them, but we really need your questions to make the show work. And there's a lot going on right now. And we want to be here for you as a resource. And that's the reason we're doing this. So please, please, please write your questions out. If you don't have any questions, just write a comment and say where your shop is from, or where your business is from, or what city, what state, that kind of stuff. We're very interested in who you are, and we want to thank people as they come join in. So we'll be doing a lot of that later. So have any people watching right now?
Yeah, we got a couple. Greg Kitson from Decatur, Indiana.
Greg Kitson. We've been playing phone tag. So, hey, Greg.
Charles Juros from Ragged Apparel in New Mexico. So
yeah, he had a question or two last week. So thank you for joining. Please comment.
Yeah,
make the show work.
If it's up to us, it'll be a little rough. So.
All right, so Charles, hey, he wins the first comment award.
That you get our ever dying gratitude.
Right. So we have, because we knew there's also a time lag between us talking and you guys posting and commenting and stuff. So we knew they would be kind of this. So we have pre-set up some ideas to talk about. And here's our first one, which is going to be about cleaning your shop. So what we mean by this is not that you're a bunch of slobs or anything, but right now, if you're open and you're doing business, one of the things I think everybody should be cognizant of is what's going on with the rest of the world and the industry. And there's a lot of things going on right now where they're showing that nobody touches the pizza or whatever. Yeah. And I think that's really true in our industry also. And so showing with a video how your staff is wearing the masks, you're wearing gloves, you're cleaning, you're doing stuff that you take your customers' health seriously, and you're showing that in a video or, whatever, with just photographs, or maybe you can do a blog article. But the idea here is that you're showing your process. You're showing what you do. You might not be open for the public, but your employees are doing stuff. And I think it's important that you document that and you're pushing that out for everybody to see so people can get an understanding of, one, that you're open for business, and two, that you've got a plan and you're working it and you're concerned with your customers' health and safety.
I have later today, I'm going to be posting a picture on my Facebook page. If you follow me on Facebook, you see sometimes I post food pictures from a store called the Idle Spur. That's actually my father and my stepmom's store. In Michigan, we have what are called party stores, and they sell everything from cigarettes to beer and wine to, you know, paper plates, crap like that, just everything. And my father's store also, they have pizza ovens and they do food and lunches and stuff. So I just dropped off some masks from All Made. Got a picture of their employee Mitch, and he has the mask on and the gloves, and it's going to be shown. Hey, this is how we're doing it here.
Yeah, and Fridays, it's Fried Fish Day, I bet.
You know what? They only do fish every Friday during Lent, so it stopped today. They didn't do it today, I think they said. But they can on order. It's great. I've had it. They're 30 minutes away, so I can't get the stuff a lot.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is showing, you know, what they're doing. They still have people coming in. They are a grocery store type. They are a restaurant for takeout. They've always just been takeout, so that didn't affect them. But they're employees. New things are in place.
Well, great. And so I think it's really important that people show what they're doing, because I think right now there's so many questions about what's going on, and it's just nuts out there, right? And so if your shop is open, I definitely would suggest that you do this. And if you're not open currently, when you get back going, this is something I think you need to add to your to-do list.
Right.
And then it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You know, you can just use your phone, do a video. It doesn't have to be, you know, crazy level of production. It just has to be made. Right? Yeah.
And I think that's great. You know, when shops are showing, hey, here's our new procedures. Here's where we're cleaning. And yeah, you're going to want to show we're cleaning our shop and making that as sanitary as possible. But yeah, here's what we're doing. Your shirts are printed. They're in a box. People are wearing gloves.
Right. Right. Okay, so we got some people joining us. So let me turn this thing off. And so we got Jim is in, and I play Words with Friends with Jim, by the way. And I haven't been playing lately, Jim. Sorry, I've been busy doing other things. So
let me give you my Jim story. I'll give him a little shout out. So a few years ago, Marshall, you remember I had to miss a show because I was down with bacterial pneumonia real bad.
Right.
You know, it was one of those things, probably a near death more than I wanted to do. And Richard Reese took my seminars for me, and I'm watching online some of the comments Richard posted, but Jim posted, it was his first Atlantic City show. He talked about the seminars, and one of them was when Richard's there, but he goes, Richard Greaves did a great job. And it was something, I'm paraphrasing, but I really wanted to meet Alan Howe. And he goes, we heard he's sick. Hope you're feeling better. And it really meant a lot to me.
Because you're a rock star, dude.
You know, I don't think that, but thank you. I just hang out with rock stars like you. I actually looked up Jim's Facebook profile, called him at work. He picked up the phone, and we've talked ever since. In fact, I just talked to him a couple of days ago.
Oh, great. Well, hey,
it means a lot. I really appreciated that. So,
right. And let's see. Alan Singer's here. So, hey, guys.
Alan, are you in the Alan runs Boomba in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, great.
So, yeah. How are things in the DR, man? Besides,
hey, we're international today.
We are international. So, yeah.
Great. And then Charles has a question. So I have a question about ink additives, curable reducers, soft hand, etc. Do you like them? Is there a go-to that you like to use? Well, I don't really want to get into endorsing products, but I've been a lifelong Wilflex ink guy. That's all the shops that I've run. We've only used Wilflex primarily. We've used other ink brands, and they're all great. But any ink additive, I think you should try, and it's all for a purpose. So I like curable reducer a lot. I've done a lot of really cool things with that. What curable reducer is you add it to your ink, and of course, it makes it a little easier to use. It helps with the flow. But if you get to certain levels of it, what happens is it really reduces the opacity of the ink. So if you're trying to get a really bright, crazy image, a really nice looking image, if you add too much curable reducer, what you'll find is that shirt color is going to come through. But if that is your intent, okay, it can be fantastic, because what will also happen is that it improves the hand of the shirt, right? And so, I mean, the print. So a really great trick, and I've written about this before in a blog article, and I think there was a magazine article too I've written, where what I like to do is called smoke ink. Have you ever heard of that, Alan? You ever heard smoke ink?
Yeah, I call it something different, but yeah.
And so what you can do is you can take all of there's some buckets of ink that's on your shelf right now that you haven't touched in years, right? And what's a really cool trick is to take a 5-gallon bucket, and only with dark colors, purple, brown, blue, green, that kind of stuff. Can't have any white in it at all. Dump that in there and maybe fill up a gallon or two, and then take black, equal amount, and dump it in there, and then mix it up. And then that makes, it'll look black, okay? But what you're doing is you're using up all this old ink. And then take curable reducer, an equal amount of what's in there, and then mix that in, okay? And the more curable reducer you add, the more translucent that becomes. And this becomes kind of a smoke color. So it's not black, it's not gray. And what happens is it will shade the shirt color. So on a red shirt, if you print it, it looks burgundy. On a Kelly green shirt, it's going to look forest. On a royal blue shirt, it's going to look navy. On a black shirt, it's going to be invisible, so don't use it. But on a white shirt, it'll look gray. So this is perfect for drop shadows. This is perfect. So if you have 2 or 3 colors that you've printed on the shirts, right? Red, let's say it's red, royal blue, and Kelly green. If you add smoke on top, now you've got red and burgundy, royal and navy, Kelly green and forest, all with only using one screen. So it's a great way to add shade. Tint is when you add white, shade is when you add black, right? Add shade to colors to extend your color range with the design. And this is an art trick. Not a lot of shops know how to do this because it's, I don't know, it's secret or whatever, but you can do it, and it's a great tip.
Yeah. I think too, on this question, Charles, it's a great question about additives. While every ink manufacturer talks about their inks being press ready out of the bucket, that is only marginally true, I believe. You need to have certain additives, curable reducer, soft hand base. You want to always have something, at least a quart, depending on the size of your shop, or a gallon there. And remember, they are not interchangeable a lot of times. Curable reducer does just reduce the viscosity of the ink. It makes it thinner. You're going to drop opacity real quick. While soft hand base or soft hand clear is just that. It is a clear base that just brings out the ink without dropping the viscosity. And so they have different functions. You will lose some opacity on it. You can lose bleed resistance, so be very careful with them. And then watch your ratios, because curable reducers are normally about 5% by weight, 5 to 15% by weight. But some that are more pure plasticizers, I don't want to name drop it, like a Wilflex Viscosity Buster, that is almost pure plasticizer, and it is only like 1 to 2%. And it will drop viscosity so fast, it could be ugly. So be very careful, know what they are. They're not always interchangeable on it. But I am a big fan of modifiers, Charles. Make sure you know how to use them, have them there. And then I like a Marshall too. If you're printing white shirts, say you have a royal blue on a white shirt, why would you want to use it full strength? Drop some soft hand in there, bring it out, run it through a 155, bam. Your color's there, you're getting better ink yields, and not using a full strength ink. So there's ways to do it. So.
Yeah, and if you're trying to get a soft hand with plastisol also, you might look at bumping up your mesh count. If you normally use a 110, you use a 156 or go up to 230, and what happens is you're putting less ink down. So naturally it's going to be softer to the touch.
Yeah.
And so just really, you might want to look at that, look at your EOM on your screen.
Yep.
Also if you use, hydro or S mesh or something, the weave is going to be more open. So you can go up in mesh count, but actually, because the mesh is more open, you can actually get more ink down on the screen.
Yep.
Your squeegee durometer also. There's a lot of I think there's so many little variations to this. You got to look at what the magic formula is for you.
Well, and then there's a lot of push going to discharge and water base. And, before we had HSAs and stuff, man, we would take curable reducer, add some pigments right in there to them, and print them on towels, soft as a baby's bottom, man. It was great. And to me, I'm going, it gives you a water-based feel. It's very durable, especially on light garments. Go.
Right.
A little bit easier to print.
And there are other additives too, right? You got puff, you got all kinds of things that you could add, but everything is based on weight, right? So you're going to want to look at that spec sheet. You're going to look at the percentage of what the recommendation is. And I would start there, right? And then just go and run a test print. And if you don't get the results you want, add a little bit more. And what you want to be doing is documenting, writing it down, what works.
Absolutely. And I think, Charles, that was a great question. Thank you. And I think the two that you mentioned, a curable reducer and a soft hand base, are two that every Plastisol shop should have on their shelf ready to go. Okay,
cool. So looking also, you asked Alan how he's doing. He's staying alive.
Big Bee Gees fan. That's good to hear.
So I have the earworm now from this Bee Gees song.
No, thank you. We'll never be able to get rid of it.
And then Alan says, also a famous quote from Kevin Davis, "The ink don't think."
Actually, I think he misspelled it. It's Kevin. Would that be true, Alan? And Kevin Davies passed away a few years ago. Great guy. Worked for Wilflex, worked for Plastameric. Just an incredible guy. Used to be the drummer for Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Oh, how about that? That's great.
Yeah.
And then our friend Joe was here. Say, hey, Gorilla Joe, what's up?
The one time I don't have his mug with me, that Gorilla Joe's tumbler that I've been using.
Yeah, you're a trader today.
Yeah. I have Muggs Wigs Coffee Shop in Canton, Ohio. So.
Right. And then Charles just says, great info, guys. Thanks. Right. So don't forget, if you just joined us, it's a Q&A session. We need your questions. Questions. You need to put them in the comments so we can answer them.
And we have people watching that have not posted. So, I cannot believe Keith Burwell has not posted. So,
said hello. What's up with that guy? Right?
Yeah, I don't know. What's up? David Shaw from Ace is there. My boss, Alex Mimosa, is watching. So
Brian says hello from Rockford, Illinois. Hey.
Hi, Brian, yeah. We got Peter Walsh watching from M&R.
And
DC.
Joe's giving you some crap here.
Oh, how convenient, Alan. Thank you.
Right. Keith finally found his keyboard. Hey, guys.
That's so good. And you know what? For Joe, I apologize, but if he would have watched the last 3 weeks, it would have been better. But, we can get right back there.
Yeah. What have you been doing? All right. So our prepared thing to talk about, number 2, is the wild, wild west of masks.
Yeah.
So if you are currently doing masks or thinking about masks or have questions about masks, I don't know we have all the answers, but I think it's a good topic for conversation. So please put in there if you're currently doing anything with masks or you're thinking about it or what you've done. Very, very interested here to get this going with the discussion today on this, because I think it's probably one of the most relevant things that's happening in the industry, because a lot of shops are pivoting to this. What do you see, Alan?
Yeah, masks are becoming a big product that's keeping some shops going, which I think it's great. I am very proud of our industry and the manufacturers of T-shirt companies that have pivoted towards that and are filling a very good need. I think we have to be careful on some of them. I'm watching people, they're making them so fast. And again, this is going to be one we're not going to mention names. I don't think of manufacturers, but there's some where they'll get some packs in, and out of 100, there'll be 6 that are just unusable. So
yeah,
be careful. You know, I don't know how everybody, if they're selling them, if it's a giveaway, if it's an added. But yeah, that's kind of it. Remember, these aren't N95, but I have them. I got some from a manufacturer, gave them to my parents. I had some sent down to my mom and stepdad in Florida. And yeah, so I think in one ways I'm very proud of our industry, but remember, they're being made as fast as they can sell them now.
right. So, I've been talking to a lot of shops, Alan, and Keith, by the way, says he's making masks and printing vinyl. It's working. Yeah. So,
yeah.
So, and then Jim says, I'm waiting on some masks and we're going to print for some local businesses and give them to them. So
Awesome.
a lot of people are doing this. So here's what I see. I think if you're going to get into this mask craze, there's a couple things you need to think about. We need to be in alignment with what your current or potential customers want from you, right? And so there's some masks that are really super awesome and some that, might have some quality issues, just like you said. So what is going to resonate with your customers? And I think the challenge right now here is inventory and availability. And before you start ordering thousands of these things and before you start getting into it, you might do yourself a service just by getting some samples in and seeing for yourself what you like. Try them on, show them to some people. What do you think? Do you like this one? Do you like this one? Also, are you selling these blank? Are you selling these decorated? And then how are you decorating them? Are you using your heat press? Are you going to be screen printing? And if you are screen printing, by the way, Action Engineering has a fantastic platen jig that they just came out with that They've got models for every single press out there. I believe it's $395. I didn't do the prep work and get the link, but you can just look them up, Action Engineering. Everybody already has that link probably anyway.
Yep.
But I think if you're going to be doing stuff with speed and efficiency, this is something that you might want to look into, because what you want to be doing in production is busting this stuff out if you're going to be screen printing them.
Absolutely.
If you're going to be heat press, you don't need the jig because it's not made for that, right? There's other people I've seen are sewing a woven label like in the corner with their logo or some message, and that makes a lot of sense, right? And then other people, of course, they're doing the fabric and they're dye stubbing the fabric and then doing some sewing, or especially with those neck gaiter things, you see that a lot.
Yep.
So it's just I think you need to kind of look to see what's going on and what you're doing. If you are going to be doing this, you need to let your customers know exactly what they're buying. I think there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace right now. These are not the N95 masks, and what you don't want to be doing is selling something and causing confusion, and then guess what? They just reject the whole order or whatever, right? We don't want to get into that mess.
Yeah.
Also, with the decoration thing, you're going to have to teach yourself how to do it, right? And I was commenting before our show started with Alan, some people have a hard time just printing straight on a T-shirt, right? How are you going to print straight on this little bitty mask, right? Or whatever you're doing, right? You're going to have to learn how to do that. And I think having the proper tools like that jig, from Action Engineering might be the way to kind of do that better.
Yeah.
But just be prepared, and kind of you're going to have to teach yourself. This is a whole new ball game. And then what inks are we using? What are you going to be doing? Certainly don't put like spray tack on the inside of the mask, right? Like, we don't want to be doing that.
And that's where I think the Action Engineering one that I liked when I saw the picture and it come up is, that's my thing. If you're going to print them, I don't want spray tack. I don't even want water-based tack on there, because you're going to wash them first. And this, you don't need it. It's almost like a modified jackal hold down to do multiple masks at one time. I think it was a great idea. Way to go, Action. for on top of it.
So Keith says he's doing full sub, pull over the mask, working on making some surgical style, but trying to limit the labor to make them affordable, not N95. That's great. Yep. And then Peter with M&R says he saw Almaid and Ryan take some heat on Facebook today. I saw that also. For their program to manufacture and sell 3-layer fabric masks, he thought the criticism was way out of bounds. And here's the thing. There's going to be haters, and no matter what you do, because if you're selling stuff at the time of crisis, in fact, we're going to be talking about this little time we got a little later about how you should be thinking about selling, right? And I will just save that comment for then. But I think right now you need to be really concerned about what you're doing and the perception of it of going forward, because right now people are weird, and there's always trolls and haters anyway, but there's plenty of keyboard ninjas out there that are going to flame you no matter what you do and how good you think you're doing. Jonathan Tynes with Kickprint, he's doing his version of the Here for Good campaign is faith over fear. You may have seen that. And he's getting some heat about it, even though he is donating shirts to people.
Right.
So he's getting his share of haters and just pulling him down a little bit. But it's like one of these things where there's always going to be stuff like that, because right now is a time of crisis and people have their opinions and they're not afraid to fire that out. So before you get into this the mask show or whatever, right? We need to make sure that we're with clarity. We know what we're doing, how it's going to be perceived. We're in alignment with what our customers want and what we do best. And maybe masks aren't for you.
Right.
It's okay to sidestep this landmine if you feel like it's not right. You don't have to do it. Okay.
I think you're right, Mitchell. Anytime someone puts themselves out there, you're gonna draw criticism. I mean, you and I don't. Nobody criticizes us ever. But,
right.
But that's going to happen, and I agree with Peter. I think it was probably out of bounds.
Right.
I don't think Almaid has overstated anything that they've done, and I know Ryan has been very generous.
Right.
In
trying to help the industry and create something, and of course, he has factories and bills to pay and employees just like everybody else. So
his own business with everybody. Yeah.
So if you haven't seen that Facebook thread, go ahead and check it out. Yeah. Keith here says, we're letting them know ahead this is not N95 rated, and they understand. I create a paper trail from their order request they signed. I have that disclaimer. So that's really awesome. Transparency is what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Right? So that's great. That's great. So let me just roll through here. Any questions? Oh, by the way, Peter says Super Bowl Kansas City Chiefs. Gotta throw that in there. Good job, Peter. Hey, dude, what is your opinion? Do you think we'll have NFL this year? I'm very curious. I hope we do, but who knows?
You know what? I'm from Detroit, so I'm not sure we've had it any year here the last 10 years. We have a minor league football team called the Lions, but yeah.
Right. Oh, I have to turn this one off. Hold on. So our next thing I wanted to talk to is what I just alluded to. And I posted this video in some groups the other day I watched. This is a video that was done from a blog that I read. And anyway, so you should check that out. I think it's in the Screen Print Marketing group. I posted this. And the idea here is, how do we sell during this crisis? How do we sell? Because we're all salespeople, Alan sells Easiway products. I sell my consulting. You guys sell T-shirts. We all have to sell right now. How do we sell, right? And so the idea here is let's just pretend that everybody's at a funeral right now, because that's how it feels. Our businesses are dying. People know people that are in the hospital, or maybe they have passed away. There's a lot of stuff that's going on right now. It feels that doom and gloom kind of you feel when you're at a funeral. This is how we feel right now. collectively, right? And of course, we're all looking ahead. We're all looking what's going on. But right now, we're in this. This is how we feel. So how would you feel if somebody came up to you at a funeral and said, hey, buy my stuff. It's 25% off because we're at this funeral, right?
Yeah.
Like, that would not go over well, right? And so right now, how do we sell right now? We sell right now by being empathetic, by showing that we care, by demonstrating our love, by helping people.
Yep.
Right? That's how we should be. Our mentally, our selling framework, our lead generation, everything that we do has to be around this idea of helping, just like you would if you were attending a funeral and doing stuff. You know, sales will come. This is an event that's going to end. Sales will come, right? But right now, we don't need to be hard selling people. And I think this is my opinion, right? This is my opinion, right? What do you think, Alan? What's your take?
Yeah, I agree. I love the term selling at a funeral. You and I were talking about this yesterday. And I said, yeah, you know, we've all been to funerals, and you don't want to go up to the widow right then or to their son going, hey, by the way, you have my condolences. What is he going to do with this car in the garage?
Right.
Yeah. You don't make an offer right there. It's like, you know, if you are, then we need to put you in a box right away.
Right.
So yeah, you got to use some decorum, use some tact. And I like the term of empathy and compassion. And I think for some people, it's going to be hard because they're a lot more aggressive. And, you know, you're going to want to know your audience. Who are you talking to? What's the situation? Where are they at? You almost want to be Johnny Appleseed. You're spreading little apple tree seeds, selling seeds for the future. They're not going to come tomorrow. They might come in a couple weeks.
Right.
When this is over. And that's going to be the best way. They're not going to remember the hard sell. They're going to remember, you know what? I had to order some shirts. They threw some masks in there. Thank you.
Yeah. And here's why people like Ryan Moore, or even with the Here for Good campaigns, there are haters, there are trolls, there are people who aren't liking that because why? We're at a funeral.
Yeah.
And they don't like anything about it right now because they feel there's something going on. And I think a lot of this has to do with the disruption that's happening. And last week on my blog article, I wrote about this. I feel like a lot of people, their personal narrative is tied up into what they do as an occupation, right? And when that's removed from them, they're not working, right? Their whole life is upside down. And just like somebody who's drowning in a pool, splashing around, that's what's going on for a lot of people right now. And they're lashing out at the next thing they see. And maybe at any other time, they would never say or comment or post stuff. And I'm, giving them a benefit of the doubt here. Maybe they're like that all the time. But I think right now, everybody's in this weird, it feels, I don't know about you, but it almost feels like we're in a movie.
Yeah.
And a really bad movie. It's Sharknado 7, the attack of the virus. So
something we do not want a sequel of.
Right. And so I just think you need to be careful with everything you do, with your messages, what you're doing. If you remain positive, if you're showing you're trying to help, if you're showing what you're doing with the money, like the Here for Good, right? $10 goes to the business we're supporting. $10 goes to my business so we can remain open. You're helping two businesses with one purpose, one purchase. That's being positive, but it's also being transparent.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's really important. If you just say, hey, we're selling money, selling shirts, and the money, you're not really being transparent, I think you're going to have an issue with that later.
Yeah. So I think, you're right. I think what we've seen, and the big part of it is we've seen some of the best in our industry come out. I know up here in Michigan, Mission One's doing a thing just for their area of Michigan. Josiah Blackmore, who is watching but not posting. is doing one for Midland, Michigan called Midland First. I think the Here for Good campaign. These are people that are doing what they need to do to keep their business going, but also help their community. And that's the best of our community. That's happening.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. And I know that everybody's doing something.
Yeah.
However, right, there's also people, I see these folks on Facebook whose business is totally cratered, right? They're not doing anything.
Right.
And they're doing a lot of posting, and you see a lot of anxiety and stress and sometimes a little venom in what they're posting. And I think, these folks, if that's you, right, like reach out to me and let's have a chat. Okay. Happy to help you right now, free of charge. I'm here, right? And just get a hold of me. I'll happily talk to you, and maybe I can help you with getting some mental framework built about how to get past this.
Yeah. I had a client call me, and we were talking, and he had not realized that I switched companies in January. Thought I was with an older company. I helped him with this problem, and he just stopped as we were talking. And when I said, hey, I'm not with that company anymore, and he got quiet, I go, what's wrong? He said, you didn't try to sell me on yours. You helped my problem. I go, did you want to be sold on it? I can do that. I can flip gears real quick. That wasn't the issue. He didn't need that, and it was not the time to do that. I was glad he called. I was glad I was able to help him. He texted me today. He placed an order. Thank you. That was not the intent. But, I'm glad I was able to help him out.
Okay, so here's some comments I just want to get through real quick. Jim goes, there's really not a lot of need for haters in this industry. Couldn't agree more. But there are also, hey, go Cowboys. I'm right there with you. I really hope the Cowboys have a home game that weekend, because I'm certainly going to be there. And I don't know if they're going to post schedules. Maybe they already have, maybe they haven't. I haven't really looked in a while just because everything going on. If they do, let's get a block of tickets.
I think Keith's offered, right?
Yeah, that's right. You're buying? Oh, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, Keith. Here for good. Keith.
All right. And Keith also says he had a lady ask why she buy a shirt from a company she doesn't work for from another company printing them like it was a scam. She didn't grasp the concept it was for, but Here for Good is going. Okay, so here's the lesson for you is she didn't understand what was going on. And what I would do is I would retool your marketing and re-articulate how you're presenting it, okay? It needs to be more transparent. It needs to be really easy to understand. So look how you're doing that, and maybe look at some of the ways these other shops are doing it. Not saying you're doing it wrong. I'm not the expert on what you're doing, but maybe somebody's doing it better, and maybe you can kind of learn what they're doing. And at one of our shirt labs, Jay Basells called this R&D, and typically that means for research and development, but in stuff like this, it's called rip off and duplicate, right? So somebody's messaging is better than yours. Use their wording. Okay. It's okay, right? Especially right now. I'm not saying plagiarize their design. Please don't take that as what I'm saying. I'm saying if somebody's doing something that's better, it's okay to kind of emulate that. Okay.
Yep. I think this might be a great way to, if it is just through marketing, through social media, through an email, it might be a great way to reach out by telephone and have a real conversation.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You know what? Here it is. This is what we're doing. If you'd love to be a part of it, we'd love for you to. If not, I get it. I just wanted to reach out and maybe ask them, how can I market this better? What do you think on there? And, you're not helping everybody, but yeah.
How can I help you? Maybe right now the reason she's trolling you is because she doesn't have $20 for a T-shirt. What if you gave her one?
Yeah, exactly. And you don't even, you just send it going, hey,
here, it's on us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there could be an opportunity there. always knowing you're not going to reach everybody.
Right. So Peter says, judging by the number of how do I do stuff questions that I see posted on social media forums by beginning screen printers, I recommend that folks take this time to perfect their craft. Hallelujah. I think that's really a great comment, Peter. And both Alan and I see, how come my print looks so crappy posts all the time, right? Yeah. And
well, I get tired of the don't confuse me with facts. My mind is made up. I'm doing fine in business. All of a sudden, they're not doing fine.
Yeah. Don't let the facts get in the way, right?
Oh, I just sometimes listen to people at shows and I walk away and, one of my bosses or coworkers will go, we're just going to put that into the don't confuse me with facts. My mind is made up file.
Right. What's the quote? A mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a great time to be perfecting your craft. I think not just to be a better printer, but when you perfect your craft and process, you're saving money.
Right.
It's all about profit.
Right. So here's a perfect example, right? If you have to double stroke your underbase, you've got problems that you don't know about. So that's a good place to start. You only need one, right? So if you have to do two to get the opacity you like, you've got issues, and solve it, right? I'm not going to get into that right now because that's a whole 20-minute conversation probably. But
that and Marshall on automatics too. If you are hitting, and Peter, no offense to M&R it was one of the greatest inventions and the worst ones. I see someone else going into revolver mode more than once on everything. And Marshall, you and I have both been into an account where they're hitting it 3 times in revolver mode.
Yeah.
I'd like to just lose my mind.
I was at the shop once. It was almost 4.5 minutes to print one shirt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
in my home state, you told me about that. This is where I'm going to blow my brains out in the industry at times. Going, really?
Right. Well, there's a reson why I was at that shop.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, and here's something really nice from Peter. Whoop, hold on. There'll never be another time in history where we have so many experts like Marshall Allen and specialists from industry manufacturers and suppliers sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Right. And then his follow-up here. I know that so many experts and they are passionate about helping out. You're right. We want to help, right? We want to get involved. Yep. We're used to being in the game, and we're not doing anything right now. Yeah. So we want to help out. So please give us a call. And Keith answered us. So he said, I honestly think you're just looking to troll a page. It's pretty simple. And he asked her if we could create her business and help her. No response. Of course. Right? That tells you all you need to know right there. Hey, can we help you? Crickets.
Absolutely.
Crickets. Okay. So if you're watching.
Did you see the post right above Keith's?
No. Oh, yeah. R&D.
Cracking up over that. I love that.
Oh, what a cool logo.
Yeah. I like the name, Ampersand Print Company.
Yeah. And. Right? And.
Yeah.
Right. You screen print and what else? That's great. So
Ampersand is, look it up.
Yeah. Hey, if you're watching and haven't asked us a question, please do some keyboard magic and type that stuff in because we're here for you. It's a Q&A session. It only works if there's Q. The A doesn't come unless there's a Q.
And those of you trolling and watching, I can see you. Don't make me call your name out. I know most.
Oh, do it.
Mark Soldonic.
Oh, well, he knows everything. Hey, how's the farm life going? How's the boat building going? Show us some pictures.
Yeah, Mark, how's the boat going? Mark Soldonic, when I can't wait because till this opens up because the first time I could travel, I'm going down to Mark's house. He's going to have something on the smoker.
Yeah. He's feeding everybody, right?
Oh, amazing. So I should be quarantined there.
Yeah.
Neil from Dowfit is watching. Adam McCauley from Sandlot Sports just came on. So.
Oh, great. Hey, Adam. So we have another prepared thing, which is our last one. Hey, it's perfect timing.
Yeah.
This was Alan's.
Don't be a wildebeest.
What does that mean?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking when this.
You're not talking about my face, are you?
No, not at all. A couple of weeks ago when we were talking, I brought up the point of, what do we do? Everybody was just going, what do we do? What do we do? And I think we have to remember, and I'm going to repeat this and then I'll add to it. We have to remember that as human beings, we are 8 times more prone for personal protection than we are for pleasure, whether it's your business, your family, whatever. And right now we're wanting to do everything we can do to protect ourselves and our business. Because of that, because we're that prone for personal protection, we want to know the information immediately. That's why we love rumors. We like to hear what everybody else is doing. We watch 24-hour news, 48 hours a day, 7 days a week, every channel, every social media page, and everything like that. And what happens, it builds this herd mentality. And what we do is we get scared, we get panicky, and we get skittish, like a herd of freaking wildebeest. Mm-hmm. And when wildebeest get spooked, they start running, and they run right over a cliff or into a river of crocodiles and get eaten and drowned.
Right.
So the key is don't be a wildebeest. This is one, be smart about it. Look what's going on. Pay attention to what's happening, but don't obsess with the news, because you can only make decisions in your business, in your life, with the information you know right now. You take the information, you make your decisions, you put your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and problems, you do your swaps, and you move on and you keep going. And then every couple days, once a week, we're going to know more next week than we did 3 weeks ago. We're going to know more Monday than we do today. And then you pivot as you need to. And it's difficult. I see on Facebook and people I've talked to, people are skittish and panicking because did you hear what was said on this channel, that channel, this person, Alan and Marshall said this and all that. One, don't be a wildebeest. And we have to remember, breathe. This will not go on forever. It will end. We don't know when. It will end.
It's an event.
It is an event. There is some scary stuff. There are people sick. People have passed away. We are seeing the best of the coming out in humanity, I think, right now. And I needed to see that. We're also seeing a little bit of the worst of humanity out there. But you know what? I still think in the end, we need to just look at what is real at this moment and make decisions professionally and personally. And Marshall, if I could say, that is not always easy to do. I was talking to one of my family. They watched, I did a Facebook Live, and I kind of said the same thing. And you talked about, Marshall, some people, their identity is in their business. And when it goes away, they're just struggling in the water. And, maybe, you got to have an anchor. If your anchor is your businesses come and go. You might want to get a different anchor and look. I have one. I try to rely on my faith. Some people do on their family. Whatever you need to do, have an anchor. Yeah. But you need to be smart about it. And it's hard to do because there are times where I want to shut down, where I break down. I don't want the company I work for to go away. I don't want, and you know what? Here's a sad thing. I just had a thing come up on my screen that a friend of mine in Kokomo, Indiana, his mother passed away. I do not know why. And that's where I paused and looked, and I had to oh my gosh. I don't know what's going to happen business-wise. I want my business to go on. I like the industry I work in. I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to, everything that we think of. And there has to be a point for me where I have to go, I can't just sit here on the camera and spout this stuff off that everything's wonderful. It's not.
Right.
It's almost like physician, heal thyself.
Right.
And I have to remember I can only make decisions, wise decisions, with the information I know now. I have friends like Marshall. I have friends like Joe, Gorilla Joe's, who we talked last night after hours about personal stuff, and people in the industry I'm real friends with. I appreciate that. Adam McCauley and I have. But you know what? I have to not rely on Marshall and Adam and Joe and all these people. I have to make decisions for me personally by what I know. And you know what? We are all this together. We might have it together, but there have been times I've shut this off, we're done, and like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I think we all have some of those moments, and it's okay to acknowledge them. We're I don't know about you, but I'm not a robot, right? I'm not one of those things from Westworld, right? I'm a person, and so I've got fears and panic and all that kind of stuff too. I've got a family to support, and I'm really worried about my financial security, just like everybody else. Yeah. And so, but before we get too long, because we got like 10 minutes left, I think let's pivot to some comments real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. But I want to thank you for letting me share that. So
yeah, so Brian would love to be doing some test prints right now, but our state and city would not let us open. Okay, so open for business is one thing. Sneaking into your shop to run some test prints is another, right? And I don't know where you live or what's going on. I'm certainly not saying go break the law, but I know tons of people who are in their shops right now with their wife or girlfriend, and they're actually printing orders. Some people are working on some things and doing some work, right? So if you feel that you want to go in and do some test prints, hey, get in your truck or your car and drive in at 6:30 or 7 in the morning and be at the shop for a couple hours. I mean, it's okay. You're certainly there by yourself. You're not endangering other people. I think you've got my permission.
Well,
do what you got to do, right? And
right.
So
I just saw a video that an interview with Marcy Kenter from SGIA, and she's the best. She's awesome when it comes to government regulation. And one of the things she said, and you can reach out to Marcy at SGIA for more information, check your guidelines. A lot of these are governmental guidelines. They're not laws. And you got to look and see what the guidelines are for your area, for your state. If you're an owner to go in your business, I think that might fall within the guidelines. Right. And you go on your own moral compass. But check on that. And I need to go back and listen. I was getting ready for this, and just before you and I talked, I was watching at Marshall, so I need to go listen to the podcast again.
Right.
It was some good information. So, yeah, that's tough. If not, if you can't go in there, I know you would love to make some test prints, but maybe this is time of making list of go. What are we going to do? What can we do? What should we be doing? What do I want to do when I can get back in there? And start making some lists, start making some plans of how things are going to change and how business is going to be in the new normal.
Right. And Adam McCauley says, here's a link. He says it was a cool link to share. No idea what this is for.
Birthday party.
It's a cool link about Sandlot Sports. I mean, who knows what
Adam, what's that link? So we don't know.
And then Peter,
click on unknown links.
Peter Walsh has a really good question here. So let's take some time to acknowledge this. So any ideas for printers to successfully restart their business if the shutdown forced them into a situation where they got behind their account with key suppliers? This is a big issue, right? Because before the crisis, a lot of people weren't expecting this. And so a lot of people, just like your employees, is kind of, we live paycheck to paycheck. Right. We live order to order, right? And so what happens is we're relying on these orders that are going to come in next week to be able to pay everybody off. Well, when that stuff dries up, now we still owe all this money. And so what happens is we haven't managed our money properly.
Right.
So I would suggest one thing that you do is go to Amazon. You can probably find a used copy, but get a Profit First by Mike Michalowicz and read that book. Okay. Yeah. And set your business up for this. It might not help you pay off your suppliers, but what we need to be doing is setting up our business to run better. And Profit First is a really great way to do that. With my coaching clients, there's 2 books that are on the mandatory read list. Profit First is one. Story Brand by Donald Miller is the other. And I recommend that everybody read these 2 books just because it's really going to help you. So Profit First, if you haven't heard about it, is basically a really great way to be thinking about organizing your financials in your business by setting up a bunch of different bank accounts. And as money comes in using percentages, we populate these bank accounts and they do different things. There's an operating account called OPEX where you would pay all your suppliers and you would know how much a percentage of your business that you use based on historical information goes to your supply chain. And then all that money is paid through that, right? So this is a really great way of organizing that thought. Now, I would be on the phone with your suppliers right now talking about, I'm in this situation, what can you do for me? Yeah. And so if somebody owes money to a supplier, you can't dig your head in the sand like an ostrich and pretend you don't owe the money. So I would be talking about setting up some sort of payment plan or what can you do, that kind of stuff, and be really forthright and honest about it. Because you know what, it's in their best interest to keep you as a customer, because this is a crazy time and maybe they've got a program set up. I'm curious, Peter, does M&R have something like this? You brought up the question, maybe you have an answer already.
Marshall, I think too, this is something that every printer needs to think about, because when things are going good, when we're at the peak, when things are going good, nobody thinks about it. We're now in the valley and all of a sudden it's an issue. When it comes to supplies and stuff like that, you can order from anybody on a keyboard. But if you don't have a relationship with your suppliers, a partnership, it's real hard to go, hey, I haven't talked to you and I've worked you for every stinking penny. In the good times, it's real hard to go to them and get compassion. I think when things open up in what I call the new normal, excuse me, what I call the new normal, this is where you can order from anybody, but who are your key partners that you have? And exactly. Partners are with you, good times and bad times, because there is opportunity at the bottom of the trough, and you want to know who those partners are. So, you want to get with them. You want to talk to them about the situation. I don't think anybody's going to go, oh, you're having a tough time? Huh, news to me. Everybody's having a little bit of a rough time right now.
What? There's something going on in the world?
Everybody else is up to date. Yeah. So you want to do that.
Right.
Make sure, start building relationships and partners, and that makes it easier during the bad times on there.
Well, one of the first things I did when this happened is, I run my consulting business. I use one credit card for that. I just kind of funnel everything through. It makes it easy for me. Is I called a credit card company and talked to them.
Yep.
Right. And found out what they were offering, what they could do for me. Of course, everybody's different. So, but it was really good. It was a good, it was a good thing for me. And I would suggest that everybody kind of, if you haven't done that already, it's still not too late. I would be doing that.
Right. I know. Go ahead, Marshall. I'm sorry.
What I was going to say is, and then moving forward, right, we want to be able to, I'm sure you've read somewhere that you need 6 months worth of money in the bank in case something happens, right? And raise your hand right? If you have that when this happened, right? Do we have money in the bank?
Right.
Right. And for you personally and also professionally, right? So what is your daily or weekly, monthly operating expense that you need just to be at zero, right? When I talk to shops, when we start coaching, this is one of the things that we go over with. It's just that what do you need to sell to be at zero, right? And you'd be surprised at how many people don't know what that number is.
Yeah.
And so to just run your business, to pay your mortgage or your rent and your equipment and your people, what is that number? And a lot of people don't know what that is. But if you do know what that number is, let's just say it's $5,000. I don't know what your number is watching. Let's just say it was $5,000. So do you have $30,000 in the bank? So you can operate for 6 months without worrying? And some shops right now that are going to survive this event, guess what? They have that 6 months in the bank.
And, that's a great thing, because those that have that are going to survive. That's where I keep talking about at the bottom of the trough. This, we're not at the peak, we're on the downslide. And somewhere at the bottom, that's where opportunity is for resources, whether it be people, products, employees, things like that. And that's where where opportunity comes, and that's how strong, healthy businesses survive. Right. We will get through this. There will be some loss, unfortunately, but it shouldn't go back to the same way. You need to look at your business and have a new normal.
Well, after this event's over, there's going to be tons of opportunity, because there are going to be people who don't survive this. There's a competitor down the street from you. They're not making it.
You got clients. Yeah, I would know who their clients are. You also have key people that are going to be available. And
their press operator, their artist, that sales guy that you know these people, they're all going to need jobs, right? So Are you ready to hire? Right? Are you ready for the opportunity? Because
you can start talking to them now going, hey, man, I don't know if they're going to make it, but man, when this is over, I'd love to talk to you and start working on that. Because I think resources of competent people are always going to be a bigger thing. So.
Yeah, Jim says profit first is wonderful.
Yeah.
Right.
I ordered the book from Donald Miller, Story Branding. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that coming in 2 weeks. Thank you, Amazon.
So here's a great question. So what do you? How much time we got? Oh, we're over.
Yeah, all right.
Last question. Okay. What do you think is the average profitability that most companies are meeting? Currently, 0.
Yeah.
It just really depends on your market, right? So if you're a contract screen printer, you're making way less money than somebody going direct to retail, right? Where they're getting, when they sell a sweatshirt, they're selling it for $45. But if you're a contract printer, you're just printing that sweatshirt, you're only getting the decoration piece. Somebody else is making that money and they're paying you for that. Right. So profitability, it's a wide range, and there isn't a magic number. Some of the companies, they're in 10, 12%. I know other companies that are 20, 30%, right? It just depends on the money, how they market, who they're servicing, that level of rocket sauce that they have in their company, how well they're structured, how tightly they do things. But the key thing, if you want more profitability, you absolutely need to know your numbers.
Yeah.
You need to know your numbers like the back of your hand. What does it cost you? What is your cost per impression? How much, and then what is, your history too? What's your three-year rolling average and all this stuff, right? Yep. Do you know that stuff? Do you just pull it up right here on your computer and you've got it? Or is it like it's a head scratcher?
Yeah, I think the better question is, and it's a great question, but I think a better question just to drill down on it is, what is your profitability? What are you shooting for? Are you making that? And do you know why you have those numbers? And can you?
Right. And here's a great exercise for you, right? Especially right now where we're all working on our business and not in the business. Okay. If you know your profitability number right now, let's say you do, and let's just say it's, 15%, and you don't like that. what do you need to do right now to add another 10% profit? I'm not talking 50% profit. I'm just talking 10% more profit.
Yep.
What can you do right now to add 10% more profit? Does that mean that you need to sell at a higher rate? Does that mean you need to lower some costs, right? Maybe it's a combination of both, right? Maybe your current customer base, like everybody bitches and moans about, they won't pay for that. Well, maybe they're the wrong customer for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? And people get hung up all the time, for example, selling to schools, right? Well, schools are historically cheap and they pay like 90 days from now or 45 days from now. Why do you want that as a customer?
Yeah.
Maybe your customers need to be somebody who pays 100% upfront at a much higher rate because they really value what you do and what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you develop a business and marketing plan based on that and about hitting that profitability goal than trying to service a bunch of people who don't value what you do and
Yep.
they're a bunch of tire kickers, right?
And there are huge companies that all they do is that whole school market nationwide. They're taking a hit right now.
Yeah, right.
Really taking a hit because they go on small margins, and yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
So,
I wouldn't be going into that. I'd be hitting the clubs, the school clubs. So the most forgotten about that Prince Moore is drama. Every stinking show they do, there is a shirt and a nice one.
wait, hey, were you in the drama club, Alan?
I was not. I was into make money in the parking lot. I'd rather not get into a club. So slightly illegal and dangerous in Metro Detroit, but yeah, nothing I'm proud of. But if I was printing shirts, I'd be going after that one. I'd be going, yeah. So there's a ton of them. Band. I don't care as an athlete. I played baseball and stuff. I don't care what high school you go to, and we make fun of people in band. That band runs the whole school. It's a small cartel inside. It's the school. It's huge. They run it. They have more stuff printed and more support than any booster club, I think.
Yeah. So for anyway, to answer your question, I would do an analysis of who makes a good customer and where are they.
Yeah.
Right. And so a really great tool for you to do that is going back 2 or 3 years, do what's called an 80-20 rule. Okay. So this is the Pareto principle. It's everywhere on the internet. If you've never heard of it, you can look this up. But this is true for you right now. Okay. If you take all of your customers year over year, 2019, 18, 17, okay, your top 20% of your customers gave you 80% of your revenue.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, conversely, that's true. The bottom 80% only gave you 20% of your revenue. So let's say you had 1,000 customers. Okay. 200 of those customers gave you 80% of your money. 800 of those customers only gave you 20% of your money. Okay. And so what that means is you're working really hard for nothing.
Absolutely.
Right? So what can you do to add more profit? Raise your price, raise your minimum, do different things. Stop selling a really cheap shirt. Maybe you go up, your recommended shirt is this garment because it's a higher selling price. That kind of stuff, right? And so it's like you can do a lot just by thinking about things and setting up some different kind of rules and that kind of stuff. If you don't know your numbers, you need to really know them, right? And break it down and start looking at this stuff because these numbers and metrics are the speedometer. That's the dashboard of your business. So you really need to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
All right. So, Kitson goes, Pareto, exactly.
Yep, absolutely. Explain what that is, Marshall, for people if they don't know.
80-20 applies to almost everything, right? Yeah. Except for like, my wife's shoes, like 100% of them are black. All right. So I think that's going to wrap us up.
All right. There's a few people watching. Marshall, I wanted to give a shout out to Neil Boulding from McDermott. And before we sign off, Ben Petsy from Saudi is watching. And Ben, we're still with your family. If many of you don't know, Ben's dad is Al Petsy. Al is the godfather of screen printing. He taught a big, huge portion of the industry about stencil emulsion. He taught me how to coat screens at barely 20. Al passed away this past week. So Ben, our family is with you during this time still.
Yes. Yeah.
His contribution to the industry will not be forgotten. So, yeah.
All right. So just to wrap up, if you want to get a hold of me, this is my email address. Please, please, please shoot me an email. Happy to help you. And it's real easy. It's just my name. Here's Alan's. I'm Alan Howe.
New one. Yeah. So
can't be any easier than that. And then lastly, I want you to sign up for this. So we didn't talk about this at all. This is Tom Rowan and I's new thing that we're doing. This is the Shirt Lab Summit. This is going to be an online educational event, June the 1st through June the 3rd. We're building our website right now. It's not quite ready. So this is just to sign up for it. As soon as it's released, we're going to send you some stuff. You know, we're not going to share that information with anybody. It's just for us, right? But we want you to sign up because this is going to be a phenomenal event. So we've got over 30 people, including Alan here. We've interviewed them with best practices, tips, that kind of stuff. We're doing 3 days. Day 1 is really about sales. Day 2 is really about marketing. Day 3 is about more operations stuff. There's some crossover, but it's a phenomenal event. It's going to be absolutely free. There's some bonus stuff that you can get if you want to pay a little bit of money, but it's absolutely free. We want you to come watch. And if you found value with what Alan and I are doing with this, just imagine questions and answers with over 30 of the most dynamic leaders in our industry doing this, all about their area of expertise. It's just going to be phenomenal.
30 of the most dynamic and me.
Yeah.
I'm not in that dynamic part.
I don't know how Alan sneaked in.
I know someone.
So anyway, so we're going to just use that as our sign off. Please sign up.
Definitely.
Have any questions, feel free to talk to me or Alan. We're here for you. So that's it. Everybody take care. Have a fantastic weekend. And we will see you next week at this same time, 12 noon Eastern, right here on the Atkinson Consulting Facebook page. So thanks. Talk to you soon.
Be safe.